What's happening? Something up here. Every music video, man. Because SEKAI NO OWARI is crazy. Christ. Suddenly it's a Ganda fighting here. Suddenly a whistle. I love it. It's so. Time for another SEKAI NO OWARI reaction, guys. Today we're checking out Honoo to Mori no Carnival, the fire forest of the fire carnival, or like fire furnace carnival. It's a lot of fire, it's a lot of forest. It's a crazy music video. I love it. So this time, guys, I'm gonna try to make the SEKAI NO OWARI reaction like this, right? I think it's gonna make a better video, right? Because they have very hard copyright on their videos, and obviously I don't make any money make the videos. I never did, not about the money, right? I enjoy doing it, but in the previous ones I have to like blur out, you know, like 90% of the music video, right, to get it up, because otherwise I get blocked. So let's like try like this and see what happens, guys. And please leave a comment below if you prefer this or the blurring, but I think this is probably a better experience for you guys than me blurring it, right? So we sit like this instead. I think that's better, because I think I can get away now by showing the whole music video, right? Without having to. Probably recorded the Dragon Artist. See what that is. Man, says Jupiter on her. We have the little green monster of Jupiter, yeah. There's just Jupiter on his He's purple squad probably. It was cool, it was cool. But yeah, it looks very similar to Dragon Knight, right? They certainly love those people coming out there with the, I was gonna start spinning my sword here. They certainly like those people with the flame spin, right? As I mentioned, Dragon Knight, I seen it in real life, very similar performance when I was at Arrowhead's 10th year anniversary party. But yeah, let's keep going. But this feels very similar to Dragon Knight, right? They had the fire spinning and yeah. So see what girl's life that's about? Okay. I like he's like directing them now with the drumstick here. Yeah, he's like waving back to him. Yeah, these girls are in Dragon Knight, right? But they're obviously based on like the black and white swan clothes. They got the late swans, right? He's an actual witch torch. This music video is crazy. All the videos are crazy. Oh, it's like Snow White or yeah, or something like that, like, or I think Snow White, like that. Is this like an ad for like the Kotoku Fantasy? It's like an ad for a Disneyland or something? That's how it feels now, right? Because that is probably Snow White, right? Or Little Red, yeah, that one to the left there. The other one was maybe Little Red Hood or like, was Askungen again in English. I can't remember her name is, not Rapunzel. Yeah, okay, to be fair, guys, okay, I speak better English than Swedish, honestly, but I don't necessarily know all the Disney, you know, characters, right, in English, because Obviously I grew up with them in Swedish, so I don't know what her name is. Askungen. It's like the girl that sleeps after the prom or whatever. I don't remember her name. Oh, Cinderella. You got Cinderella. Come together. You could see how they have the lamps on back in the area. They have to have stuff to stay a lot. Honestly, it's a really big area, yeah. But you can see how they have, yeah. I like how the music video is like them actually traveling around with a long distance, right? Has to be a lot of effort setting up all these lamps, right? It's like so much lightning there. You can see some earlier on the trees and so on, right? And there's it over here. They can have it in the east. This version over here they had it so on, right? So yeah, like there is a lot of moving parts in this music video. Nothing now? Crazy? No, it's really clearly. Michael Jackson, yeah. Every music they make is crazy. It's so weird. Everyone is so different too. Everyone is so unique. Christ. Oh yeah, especially the door again. I guess it's like Narnia, or it's ISEKAI door, yeah. Who's that? The girl who's gonna save? Yeah, there's imaginations there. It definitely was similar to Dragon Knight the most by a lot, right? This is the new Bleach video I had yesterday, which was really good. I liked that. That was really hype, man. I didn't see anyone care about it, but I cared about it. I made a video about it yesterday. It was like got like 10 views. No one cares about it. I thought it was amazing. It was like cool, like Olikuria, Ichigo. Wow. So anyway, let's break it down. First of all, I had to check it out. This was used by Hikari TV for an ad or whatever, right? Because it felt a little bit, not to say the song itself, but it was kind of like Disney, you know, it's very much Disney World, right? And yeah, this was some kind of like demand TV. I never used it, but you know, Netflix or whatever. So a little bit that feeling too. I don't know. I just felt that this is probably used in some kind of like advertising. I don't know. I just felt the ad thing. I don't know. I just felt it, man. I was right, but I just had a vibe in my brain there. Isekai. This door, of course, is an Isekai door, right? I think it's a cool music video. You can like cover, of course, different kind of, I would call it like, you know, Western fantasy media, right? Or Western, like the Brother Grimms, or that kind of classic, you know, European fantasy storylines, perhaps, right? So obviously this door here, I would say, is Narnia, right? And as a side note, I mean, of course, I like L0, Mushoku Tensei, Konosuba, etc., right? The typical isekais are very, very popular in Japan. Yeah, in Japanese anime and overall, like no isekai is the best seller, right? But actually, historically speaking, right, what's called portal fantasy in English is pretty popular, right? You know, we don't see it as much anymore. I would say in Europe and USA and so on. But stories like Narnia, right, was very popular, right? The whole idea of like, you know, as in Wonderland and so on, right? The whole idea of like, you know, moving through a door and getting into another universe. It's a classic storyline, right? So before it was popular in Japan with isekais, I would say it's popular in England and America and so on. Actually, the way before it. So it's I guess it's a storyline that humans just really like, right? Human loves isekais, love portal fantasy. But anyway, if you haven't read Narnia, and I read the whole books, of course, and I've seen the 2 different shows of it. Narnia is this classic, very famous, right? C.E. Lewis, how they opened this door, right, in their I guess house. I guess it's like a what is it? it's like a closet, I guess, or clothing, whatever. They open it, and they have this magical door that kind of appears in the snow, right? And the snow witch. And then we have crazy clowns, right? You know what those are. Yeah, scary clowns, mummies, I guess, and it and so on. Yeah, but I think so, right? So yeah, it does feel like in the beginning it felt kind of crazy, but then we saw a little later, right? I'm guessing it's supposed to be Gandalf, right? When they're fighting. Yeah, but that's what I feel like, you know, because like I said, it's Narnia, and then it's some little bit the mummies or whatever, and then it's Gandalf, right? And then later on, of course, it's Snow White, definitely, and Cinderella. I mean, well, this character here are definitely Snow White, right? And the other character, I'm not sure, but for some reason I'm guessing Cinderella. But yeah, like I said, most of these storylines aren't, of course, from Disney per se, right? They're rather fairy tales from, most of them are from the Grimm brothers. So it's like old German storytelling, right? Just a collection of these different, you know, European old fantasy, basically, right? As a side note, and you probably heard it before, but I just want to nerd down a bit here. I always like that I read these books, right, as a kid, that actually covered these storylines in their, how I say it, they're authentic, right, in their real version of them, and they are very brutal, right? Yeah, most of those Grimm stories, most of these fairy tales, right, are much darker and grim, right, than what we're used to, of course, in the Disney version or whatever. Yeah, they're very much nicer, happy ending and so on, right? And I explain why. Yeah, they're dancing around everyone. But I like how the whole area is big. Then of course it's thriller, right, with the zombies. But anyway, going on the limb here then of storyline of fantasy. The reason, right, and this is a very typical cultural thing, we can find it in every country. In Japan, in Nippon, you can find it in Ireland, you can find it in Sweden and so on, is that most of these fairy tales, right, are supposed to be a lesson and to scare kids. So, for example, in Japan, you have the kappa. The kappa is this, you know, water monster that pulls you down, right? In Sweden, you have Näcken. And Näcken and the kappa are basically almost the exact same thing. I'm not going to show an image of it here because Näcken means the nude guy in Swedish. The neck is like being nude. So he's like a naked guy that lures you into the water and drowns you. Again, similar to kappa, right? So I'm not gonna show you an image of it, but he's like a kappa without the turtle, but it's very similar. And then, for example, in Ireland, you have the kelpie, which is a horse. If you jump on that horse, you jump into the water and you drown, right? So most of these fairy tales that we have, the Grimm brothers and all their, you know, fantasy storylines has, you know, captured in movies today, right, were actually based on basically telling kids to stay away, right, from the river, from the ocean, from the snow and so on, right. And that's why really almost all sorts are much darker, right. They're supposed to kind of be like a dark death for you. Similar of the Rakugo story Yugemo, right. Yugemo, in the original storyline, he dies, right? And correct me if I'm wrong here, but in the modern Yugemo Rakugo performance, the kid survives instead, right? And that, of course, again, is a lesson to, like, okay, not name your kid this thing as like a dark tale, right? So forth, right? So I think a lot of these storylines are, of course, changed over time, whatever, to be a little more nicer. But originally, right, the reason these dark storylines exist, right, is because culturally down the countries, and that's by the way so similar. For example, right, the river, right, strong current with the water is dangerous, so we make up these stories, right? So I can imagine in Sweden we have the Näcken, so kids are afraid to go to the, you know, the powerful river, right? And in Japan you have the kappa, so it's kind of the same thing, right? Because we have this monster that we explain to children that if you go over there we kill you, right? Okay, so for that, and for example in Japan the yokais, right, Yuki Onna, you know, is a beautiful snow lady, right? Again, that is to make you not go into the blizzard, right? Not go into the scary cold snow that will kill you, right? And also because you have this thing, mirages, right? When it's really hazing, ice hazing can make you see stuff, illusions, so on, right? I like how the music videos are so entertaining overall. So much stuff happening. It's also a good journey. It's also a nice fantasy, and you can hear me babble now about fantasy, right? You know, but this is what I like the music videos since I just discovered them pretty recently, right? But it's just fun because you kind of get like a good motion in your head, right? I want to sit here and blab about fantasy stuff, you know. Obviously, I'm a writer myself, but mostly I've written for video games, stories of video games, and all right. And, you know, I'll take inspiration from all of these stories I mentioned, right? So I have, like I said earlier, I've read all these, you know, the fairy tales over and over again, right? And of course also read every manga and anime and stuff too, right? But, you know, you kind of get into it and it's just kind of fun, right? Getting into all the different fables. I've also been a guy that I was a kid that was also reading different fabled animals, you know, a griffon, a cantar. Also, it was so cool that I had those books right when I was reading and learning about all the different, like, religion and cultures and all the different, you know, crazy monsters and so on. That was very interesting as a kid. So, as you can imagine, I sit around me here, right? So yeah, but I think this is the reason why I like this band a lot, because they do inspire me. I watch their videos and I'm like, yeah, this is fun. It inspires my creativity. It makes me think, you know. It makes me like, yeah, this is cool. Here's fire. It's coming out. It's a good song. But it's like, you know, it's all stuff happening. And there's a little funny coincidence there. My last music video performance was Jupiter from Little Glee Monster. So that was just a lucky coincidence. But yeah, it's just, you know, it's like cool, creative band. And like I said earlier, I think one thing that's really fun with them is that you never really know what to expect, right? Yeah, you never know what to expect. You turn on the music video and it's always like, oh, it's a journey, man. It's a journey. So that's awesome. Anyway, guys, let me subscribe. Have a great day.